Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into some seriously awesome castles?
Castles it is.
We're talking about France, the land of fairy tale chateau, all those dreamy castles.
Yes, the French castles.
We've got a great starting point for our exploration this time, the Love to Visit France newsletter.
Oh yeah, it's packed with amazing photos and insights into all things France.
Perfect. And you mentioned wanting to explore the most spectacular castles France has to offer.
Absolutely, I'm all about those showstoppers.
Well, France has quite a few to choose from, wouldn't you say?
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
The sheer number is mind-boggling.
Okay, you've got to give me the number. How many castles are we talking about here?
Hold on tight, because there are over 40,000 castles scattered across the country.
40,000. Did you say 40,000?
You heard that right, 40,000.
Wow, that's like more castles than I can even imagine.
Yeah.
So if you visited one castle a day,
It would take you over a century to see them all.
a century. That's incredible. So how do we even begin to narrow down the choices?
That's where the Love to Visit France newsletter comes in handy.
You think so?
I do. They've done a lot of the legwork for us already.
So instead of spending a lifetime wandering aimlessly, this newsletter gives us a curated roadmap to the most amazing castles.
It's like having a personal castle concierge.
I like that. Now, the newsletter doesn't just focus on the castles themselves, does it?
Not at all. It goes beyond that.
It also gives you a feel for the different regions where these castles are located, right?
It paints a picture of the whole experience. The culture, the landscape, the history.
One region that caught my eye was Poitou-Charentes. Now, I'll admit my French geography is a bit rusty.
It happens to the best of us.
Can you give me the lowdown on this region?
You got it. Imagine charming towns with historic architecture.
Yeah.
Beautiful Atlantic beaches, perfect for a relaxing stroll.
Sounds idyllic already.
Rolling hills covered in vineyards, picture-perfect landscapes. And the historical sites, Poitou-Charentes is steeped in history.
So it's got a bit of everything. History, beaches, vineyards.
Oh, and if you're a theme park enthusiast, there's Futuroscope.
Really? A theme park?
Yeah. Known for its unique multimedia experiences. Great for families.
So a little something for everyone. And the newsletter brings all this to life with those stunning photographs, right?
Absolutely. There's one of Chateau de Chenonceau at dusk. It's perched over the River Cher. The image is just magical.
Chenonceau is already on my must-see list. Now I'm picturing it bathed in golden light, its reflection shimmering in the river.
See, the newsletter does that to you. It transports you there.
Okay, now let's jump to Paris. The newsletters from social media section mentions a beautiful day on Rue de l'Abreuvoir.
You caught that too.
Now, I have to admit, a street doesn't usually scream must-see to me. So what's so special about this one?
Well, this particular street is in Montmartre, one of the most charming and picturesque neighborhoods in Paris. It's got that unmistakable Parisian ambiance.
I see cobblestone streets, quaint houses. Now I'm picturing myself strolling down the street,
Stopping at a cafe for a croissant.
soaking up the atmosphere, a perfect slice of Parisian life. And this newsletter isn't all just dreamy descriptions. It also gives practical travel tips.
Absolutely. It suggests the Big Bus Paris Hop-On Hop-Off tour,
The hop-on, hop-off tour, I've always been curious about those. Are they actually worth it?
especially in a city like Paris.
What do you think?
Imagine this. You're on an open-top, double-decker bus, soaking in panoramic views of the Louvre, the Moulin Rouge, and of course the Eiffel Tower.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
You can hop off at any stop that piques your interest. Explore your own pace.
So it's like a guided overview with the freedom to delve deeper.
Exactly. And they've got informative audio commentary in multiple languages, too.
So you're not just sightseeing, you're learning about the history and significance of these landmarks.
You got it. It's all about getting the full experience.
That makes a huge difference. Now, bus tours might not be everyone's cup of tea,
That's true.
but the newsletter gives us a glimpse into other unique experiences across France.
There are castles with incredible stories. Castles that are off the beaten path.
And in the extra section, they mention an abandoned fairy tale castle from the 1700s. The owners vanished, leaving everything behind.
It's like a real-life mystery waiting to be solved.
What if there's a hidden treasure or a secret passage?
The possibilities are endless. This newsletter is like a portal to a world of hidden wonders.
Okay, now I'm hooked. We've got castles, charming streets, and now abandoned mysteries. What else does this newsletter have in store?
Remember you mentioned wanting to try eggs Florentine?
Yes, I did.
Well, the main section features a recipe for it.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Poached eggs, creamy spinach, a sprinkle of nutmeg.
I can practically taste it now.
This newsletter is really playing on all our senses. The evocative descriptions, the photos, And now the food.
We're only scratching the surface of what this newsletter has to offer.
That's the beauty of it.
I'm already itching to dive into some of these castles and uncover their secrets.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You're right. There's so much more to explore, and we're just getting started.
Exactly.
So stay tuned, because in our next segment, we're going to dive even deeper into the world of French castles. From the iconic and grand to the hidden and mysterious.
Get ready for a journey through history, architecture, and a whole lot of French charm. Before we jump into specific castles,
Okay.
I noticed that the newsletter doesn't just focus on the famous ones.
That's right. It talks about the oldest, the biggest, the most haunted, but then it also mentions castles that have amazing tales to tell. I love that.
Me too.
It's like each one of those 40,000 castles has a story.
It's like they're all little time capsules waiting to be opened. And the newsletter mentions castles so beautiful they'll make you stop in your tracks. Makes you wonder which ones they're talking about.
Doesn't it? I wish they'd given us more specifics, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We can do our own stigging.
Exactly. It's a starting point.
That's what we do here on the Deep Dive. So let's take these clues and go exploring.
All right, let's do it.
What do you think some of the most famous French castles have got to be on their list, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Chartres, absolutely.
Over 400 rooms.
With that intricate Renaissance architecture.
And then there's Chenonceau.
Spanning the River Cher. Like something straight out of a fairy tale.
Don't forget Carcassonne.
Ooh, yes. The medieval fortress.
With those imposing towers.
Like stepping back in time.
Each of these castles has played such a significant role in French history.
It's amazing to think about all the stories they could tell.
Intrigue, romance battles.
All woven into their very stones. But I like that the newsletter doesn't just focus on the famous ones.
Right. Like we said before, there are so many others out there with their own tales to tell.
It's like a treasure hunt.
It is. There are hidden gems tucked away in the French countryside, just waiting to be discovered. What if there's a castle with a secret passage leading to a hidden treasure?
Or one haunted by a heartbroken queen.
Now that would be something.
This newsletter is opening up a world of possibilities. It's like an invitation to go beyond the typical tourist trail.
Speaking of hidden gems, remember that abandoned fairy tale castle from the 1700s?
Oh, yes? The one where the owners just disappeared, leaving everything behind?
I can't stop thinking about it. What happened to them?
It's a real-life mystery.
A mystery with a castle is the setting.
Did they flee in the middle of the night?
Maybe there was a family feud.
Or something more sinister?
Ooh.
You need to find some castle researchers.
People who specialize in these abandoned castles.
Imagine uncovering clues from dusty furniture.
Piecing together their past.
It would be like stepping back in time.
This newsletter is a goldmine. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It really makes you want to experience these places firsthand.
It does. And it's not just about the descriptions.
Right.
It's got those practical tips, too. Remember the eggs Florentine recipe?
Oh, yes. The mange section. I am a sucker for a good recipe.
Perfectly poached eggs, creamy spinach, sprinkle of nutmeg. I'm getting hungry just think about it.
And you can't forget about that charming Parisian street, Rue de l'Abreuvoir.
In Montmartre.
I did a little digging.
Oh, yeah?
Apparently, that's one of the most beautiful streets in the neighborhood.
Cobblestone streets, quaint houses.
Ivy-covered walls.
I can almost hear the accordion music playing.
Picture yourself there, sipping a café au lait.
Enjoying a fresh croissant.
This newsletter really captures the essence of France. It's not just about the landmarks. It's about the everyday beauty.
And the food, of course. But it's interesting how they blend those descriptions with practical advice.
Like the big bus tour.
Right. The hop-on, hop-off tour.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best way to see a lot in a short amount of time.
Especially in a city like Paris.
Plus, you get the added bonus of the audio commentary.
Learning as you go.
Exactly. And they offer a river cruise, too.
Oh, imagine that gliding along the Seine.
With the Eiffel Tower in the background.
A whole new perspective.
Speaking of perspectives, what about those around the web articles?
Yes. Let's expand our horizons.
Let's dive into those and see what other treasures we can find. Okay, so we've covered those incredible castles, charming Parisian streets, and delicious eggs Florentine.
We barely scratched the surface.
I know, right? But let's move on to those around the web articles.
Let's see what other gems we can uncover.
The first one that caught my eye was about Rocamadour, France's gravity-defying village.
Oh, yes, Rocamadour. It's incredible.
Okay, gravity-defying village. You've got to give me more details.
Picture this. It's built right into the side of a sheer cliff face. The buildings are stacked on top of each other, clinging to the rock. It's a sight to behold.
Wow, I'm getting serious Game of Thrones vibes here.
I know, right? It's like something out of a fantasy novel.
So what kind of buildings are we talking about?
Ancient houses, chapels, a monastery, all defying gravity as they cling to the cliff.
It sounds absolutely breathtaking.
It really is. The article says it rivals iconic sites like Mont Saint-Michel.
Okay, now I'm adding this to my travel list.
Me too. It's a must-see.
Right.
Now, if you're looking for a romantic getaway,
Now wait.
the newsletter mentions an article about a French city being named the most romantic holiday destination for couples.
Ooh, perfect timing with the holidays coming up.
Right.
So how do they choose the most romantic city?
It sounds like they use data.
Data.
Yeah. Things like Google searches related to romance, Christmas distance to the airport, coastal charm.
Interesting. So they didn't just pick a random city.
Nope. They took a data-driven approach.
I like that. But the real question is which city won?
They're keeping that a secret for now. You have to read the article to find out.
The suspense. But it does make you think, which French city would you consider the ultimate romantic escape?
Paris is always a classic.
Of course. But maybe a cozy village in the Alps would be even more magical.
Ooh, surrounded by snow-capped mountains.
No, that's romantic. Now, what about for those of us who are thinking about moving to France?
Ah, yes.
The expat life.
The newsletter mentions a city in the heart of France that's popular with expats.
It's supposed to be very walkable.
That's a huge plus.
A low cost of living, too.
And amazing food.
The trifecta.
Sounds like a dream come true. Walking everywhere, delicious food, and saving money.
Sign me up.
Okay, let's get back to Paris for a second.
All right.
You mentioned an article called Paris Extremis.
I did. It's all about those quirky superlatives.
You know I love a good trivia fact.
So this article covers things like the steepest street in Paris, the narrowest sidewalk, the oldest building.
Okay, you have to tell me. What's the steepest street? You'll have to read the article to find that out.
Fine, but I will be reading it.
It's those little details that make a place so fascinating.
They really do. And speaking of fascinating, what about those 19 museums in Paris?
19 museums.
Yeah, that's a lot of art to explore.
It is. They recommend everything from the Musée d'Orsay to the Centre Pompidou.
I guess Paris has a lot more to offer than just the Louvre.
You could spend a lifetime in Paris and still not see everything.
I believe it. So much art, so much history.
It's incredible.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I keep coming back to that image of Rocamadour, the village clinging to the cliffside.
It's such a striking image.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how much beauty there is in the world.
And how much there is left to discover.
Exactly. This newsletter is like a key that unlocks a world of possibilities.
It encourages us to explore, to be curious, to learn.
And to never stop traveling.
Well said. We've journeyed from grand castles to charming streets to data-driven rankings to artistic masterpieces.
And through it all, we've gotten a glimpse into the heart of France.
So to our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep discovering.
Let the Love to Visit France newsletter be your guide.
Until next time, happy travels.